Thank you for joining today's session on ways to make money as a student. I am delighted to be hosting today's session. My name is Zara Waring. I'm a talent acquisition and marketing specialist at Enterprise Mobility. And I really hope this session gives you some hints and tips to take away to make that additional money whilst you're studying. To help me with today's session, we have a fantastic panel who are also going to share their advice and any additional tips that they may have to get that extra cash. So I'd like them to introduce themselves before we get started. If I go to Ola, do you first, please?
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Ola Majkudumi and I am the founder of All Things Money, which is a personal finance platform that teaches young adults how to manage their finances effectively. So from budgeting and saving to how to make extra streams of income. I chat about it all. And yeah, I actually previously used to work for Enterprise as well. So I worked for Enterprise during my placement year and also my final year as a campus brand manager. So full circle and very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And we're delighted to have you here. You are absolutely going to bring your expertise to this session, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. Almar, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Almar. I work for Enterprise in Dublin Airport part-time during my studies. I'm also a campus brand manager here as well for the National College of Ireland. So kind of just a bit about that. It's kind of just spreading, the brand of Enterprise and trying to get our name out as much as possible.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you will have a lot to share when we go through our sort of campus brand manager program and what you can actually achieve by doing that on top of your studies. So thank you so much for both of you joining me today. So without further ado, let's get ourselves started and get organized. Fabulous. Perfect. So making money at university is on everyone's top list. Who does not want to have additional cash whilst they are studying? And this first one that we're going to look at, online selling and the different platforms in which you can make that additional money. Now, this isn't something that was really around when I was at university sort of 10 plus years ago. And I really wish it was, because let me tell you, the amount of additional things that I have, clothes, items that I didn't use, didn't want, I definitely could have made sort of that extra bit and treated myself maybe to a few extra coffees, a few extra lunches out. So please do take away some tips from today's session. What we have done is we've looked at online selling and we've kind of broke it down into sort of two different categories. We've broke it down to sort of the physical items in which you can sell, and then sort of the non-physical side, so those other things that you can do that maybe aren't as obvious as sort of the online platforms, where you can still actually gain vouchers, money off purchases for next time. So again, some of these things you may recognize, you may in fact do, and others may be new to you today, and hopefully you can take that away and start downloading different accounts, different apps, just to save yourself on certain products that maybe you buy on a regular basis. So with the physical ones, these are probably platforms that you're fully aware of. You may have used them, you may not have used them. We've got the likes of our Gumtree, our eBay, Facebook, and probably the most prevalent at this moment in time is Vinted. You then have your Amazon, and then the likes of flipping items or handmade products. So if you are a person who is really into your crafts and you're making things, on the side, you're going home and you find it a relaxing way to sort of make candles, bath bombs, photo frames. There's it's endless on what you can make at home these days. But why not sell them online and get that sort of extra money in your pocket? So I guess we're going to start with probably the most prevalent at the minute is Vinted. So Ola, if I could go to you on this one, because you are the money saving expert, I'm sure you have seen the increase in people using these online platforms.
Completely. Now, when I was at uni, I was mainly using your eBay and your Depop to try and sell as much as I can to make some extra cash. But like you mentioned, Vinted is obviously up and coming as well. So yeah, when you're looking at selling your items on there, really, really recommend it. I think it's really important, obviously, that you're selling items that you definitely don't need, rather than, making yourself impoverished with nothing left to live off. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you're selling things that you really, really definitely know you don't need. With like the likes of like Vinted now really up and coming, I have become aware of a lot of scams that are happening as well. So make sure that you're really accustomed to, when you're speaking to people, make sure you're speaking to people that are real, and make sure you're, you know, if you're sending items in the post, make sure you're sending them tracked as well. So again, your items aren't going missing in the post, because obviously, sadly, a lot of sellers are kind of missing out on their selling fees because of the fact that, you know, some things are getting lost in the post, or some people are claiming it never arrived. So yeah, just make sure when you are sending these selling your goods, I 100% I am there for it, but just make sure you're being aware, and also just being aware of the different scams that might be out there too, that can try and catch us out sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good point. I think some people get carried away when they sort of sell their first couple of items, and before they know it, they have no items left, and it really defeats the purpose, because they're then going out and buying new clothes or new items that they actually use on a regular basis, but they've got carried away with that sort of retrieving the money back. So it's really looking at the items and going, am I going to wear that again? Am I going to use that again? And if you're 100% sure that you're not, then absolutely by all means sell it. But if you're unsure, maybe just hold on to it for that wee bit longer, and then you could maybe, you know, revisit that item in 2 or 3 months and say, okay, well, I didn't use it, so let's sell it this time. And I think, you know, with that sort of detoxing and clearing out, it's also brilliant for the mind. You know, I think if you have an excess of things, and especially when you're at university, it can be really stressful. You know, your classes can be a lot, life can have a lot of pressure on you at that stage. So, you know, again, doing that clear out is also a really good thing to sort of detox the mind, detox your room, but just don't go overboard. Just please ensure that, you know, you still have clothes to go out, you still have, you know, your items that you actually need on a daily basis. And Almar, are you sort of familiar with any of the platforms? Have you used Vinted? I know, again, that's sort of a massive thing. You might not use it every day, but I'm sure you've come across the platforms.
Yeah, I've come across most of the platforms. One that really stands out to me, I don't know if you guys have heard it, it's Depop. It's a lot where
Yeah.
people sell their clothes and stuff like that. That one is massive here in Dublin, so it would happen quite a lot where people just have something lying around the house that they don't wear anymore, or something that's maybe, you know, come out of fashion for the age that they are or something, and they just want to get rid of it, get a few bits of spare change, and then they could just sell it on, and somebody could buy it, you know, at a price that they're happy for as well. You know, it's a win-win for both parties. They're getting rid of something that's lying around, and the other person is thinking, I've just gained this for a fairly reasonable price.
And then when we sort of say non-physical, what do we mean by that? So we're looking at all these different online websites and apps where now you can leave reviews, you can complete surveys, you can, you know, I'm sure everyone's made a purchase in the last couple of weeks, an online purchase, and the item, you have received it, you've got it, you love it, and you get an email from that company to say, we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear, you know, how did we do customer service? What is the product like? And most times when you receive that email, they are sort of giving you a benefit for filling that in. So whether that is a percentage off, or whether that is, you know, I got one actually from New Look last week. I ordered something, and they were asking me to fill in a review to get a £100 gift card. Now, who does not want a different £100 gift card in their pocket versus, you know, some reviews might take a couple of minutes, some reviews could take a couple of hours, but again, you know, like Ola said at the beginning, also make sure that they are legit. You know, adverts come up on our social media all the time. You cannot scroll through a social media app without some form of advert popping up, sort of to give you a benefit. You know, fill this in and we'll give you that percentage off. Fill this in, we'll send you a free item. So yes, we want to look at that, and that's definitely a way to make additional money. But we've got to be really sure that they are legitimate, and you know, we're giving our information to the right people. And I think if you receive an email directly from the company that you've ordered from, that's when you know that it is going to be legit versus some of those adverts that do pop up on our social media. And Ola, we were just talking actually before the call about sort of taking those online websites and those apps and different things that, you know, we can do to sort of get a couple of points off something. So not only, you know, are we sort of benefiting from maybe getting a voucher, but also looking at, okay, well, if we fill that in, are they going to, you know, can I join their loyalty program, which is going to benefit me? It's going to get me money off my shopping. And that's really prevalent at the minute.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like you said, yeah, there's all sorts of ways you can kind of make money online now as well, outside of just selling things online, which is great. But like you said, be mindful. A lot of these websites, these reviewing advertisements, if you're maybe using cashback, you're looking to use those sites as well, you should never have to pay to join these websites. So if anyone's ever asking you to insert your card details, to pay to do an online survey or pay to do something else, that's when you know it's a red flag. But That being said, there's great websites such as Zara, user testing, just to name a few, Creamy, that pay you to do online surveys. I used to do them all the time when I was at university, probably more so than I should have, probably should have been going to lectures, but yeah, it was a great way of making some extra cash. Angelfish is another one as well. Sometimes you get paid to take part on online focus groups as well. So I know one of my friends back in a couple of years ago, she got paid to do a focus group on the use of contact lenses, things like that you probably would never have thought of before, but now is so easy to kind of join and take part in. So yeah, like I said, they're great, but also just be mindful, like you said, Zara.
Yeah, and I think, even down to the likes of when you're doing your food shopping, now that if you have, for example, a Tesco Club card, that you're going to get cheaper items than if you don't have a Tesco Club card. So again, it's looking at where you're doing your shopping and where are the benefits. So, yes, you might not be getting that physical cash in your pocket, but you're ultimately saving money, which is what it's all about. It's making sure that you can still have the lifestyle, the food that you want, but sort of at the cheapest way possible. So therefore you can really enjoy your time at university. Then sort of another way, if online selling isn't for you, filling in reviews, do not worry. There is loads of other different ways that you can make money whilst you're at university. And one that we really focus on and we're really passionate about here at Enterprise Mobility is our brand ambassador program. And if you were listening at the beginning to Ola and Almar introducing themselves, they both have been brand ambassadors for ourselves. And what does a brand ambassador mean? Like, what is that all about? And it's looking at, you're in college and university, you're doing your studies, you've worked for us on your placement, your summer internship, and you become the eyes and ears on the ground and get paid for doing so. So not only are you, in college on a day-to-day basis anyway, but you're maybe doing other events and you're really building on your network. And it's really important that, yes, you want to get that extra money, but also look at what's going to gain extra on my CV. What am I going to get by doing this? What can I learn that's extra? So it's kind of both. You get to make that extra cash whilst also learning a lot more. And the sort of first thing is what I've said is build on life skills. So when you are a brand ambassador, you may be doing tasks or being asked to do things that you're actually maybe not familiar with, or you've maybe, dipped in and out of before, but you're building on those skills. And Almar, I'm going to come to you for this one, because I know when you first became a campus brand ambassador for ourselves, you would have used social media, but on a personal level, where now you're very confident in doing your LinkedIn posts and really making sure that your social media represents us as an organization.
Yeah, definitely. I found with LinkedIn was a really strong one for me, where some of the times it could be the case where people are approaching me, based off of your LinkedIn page. People would see all of the things that you're doing and what your day-to-day life could be, and how you and your employer are working together in the case of building your own skills and building your employer at the end of the day as well. So I found with myself just kind of documenting what I was doing, even just in work, or documenting what I was doing when I was going to college and how I was getting myself out there. And then suddenly I found just people connecting with me on LinkedIn at a rate that I'd never seen before, in terms of people getting in contact so quickly and asking, oh, well, even maybe it wasn't about getting employed or just anything in general, just because the transition from, we'll say, a teenager going into the big corporate world, it's a big jump going from a teenager, and then suddenly you're going to be working your 9 to 5 in a company. People are scared of that, and who better to get in contact with somebody who's doing it at the moment while also attending their studies.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only are you doing that, but you're getting paid for that. And if people reach out and being a campus brand manager, you will also have incentives, to really push your social media, to push people, applying for ourselves. So there's all these different sort of pockets where you can just sort of keep filling that sort of that tank up, if you want to say it like that, just to have that additional at the end of the month. And Ola, for you, when you were a campus brand manager, what would you say your biggest lesson was in regards to sort of building on your life skills?
Oh, I think the power of networking. So for me, I love chatting to people, hosting events. So yeah, for me, when I did start the role, I was working with loads of like university societies to see if I can put on like workshops or talks to kind of chat about, you know, how you can actually get a career with enterprise. Because obviously I'd worked at Enterprise Rent a Car before. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. And you realize the power of networking, which that skill I learned being a campus brand manager has definitely helped me in my job now. So yeah, definitely a huge one was networking.
And sort of what we're saying next is, you know, the exposure to companies for additional work. So again, it's not just what you're doing on campus, but, you know, you're showcasing who you are, you're showcasing what you're capable of. And that ultimately goes back to being in the business with ourselves. So most of our brand ambassadors work part-time, as well as finishing college or being in second year, third year. So it's you know, you are getting that exposure of everything that is happening within the business, and it's not only building your brand with us as an organization, but it's building your brand on your campus as well. Ultimately, paid work, that's what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about how do you get, you know, that additional money in your pocket whilst at university. And for me, you know, if you can do what you love to do, you know, if you've really enjoyed working with that organization and you're getting that opportunity to still continue on your studies, but still, you know, have your foot in the door with the organization and get paid, then who would not want to do that? You know, ultimately, anything that you can do whilst you're at university to get that additional money is just key. And Ola, you've probably had conversations with people where they are really looking for something to do whilst they're at university. And some people find it hard maybe to do a part-time job because it's too much, especially in a final year, and they really want to focus on their studies. Where, you know, for me, a campus brand manager really has that sort of balance of dipping in and out when you have the availability to do so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I literally, as and when I could, I'd do a bit of, you know, the paid work with you guys. And so like I said, used to host like those workshops, which might have been once every 2 or 3 weeks or whenever a society was interested, to obviously doing like campus events as well. So I went to University of Birmingham. When they had like a careers fair, I'd work on the stand there. So it wasn't like you were forced to have to work full time, and it worked perfectly when you are juggling your studies. So yeah, definitely going down this route really helped me during my final year, especially when you probably have less time to do on your online surveys, because you actually should be in lectures. So this was kind of a good alternative because you're actually getting paid a little bit more and also more for your time.
And you're where you need to be. You know, you're in the university with probably the lecture room just around the corner versus you sitting at home on the laptop or sitting at home on Vinted. And you actually just touched on it there as well, is, you know, the different tasks that you got to do as a brand ambassador, you know, your event management, content writing, social media, those things that, you know, in university you might not be exposed to. It may not be something that you're comfortable in doing, but again, you're building on those skills, and those skills in this day and age are key. You know, every organization, everyone has some form of social media platform, and it's really important to obviously get the message out and get the message out about what you're doing as well as a campus brand manager and the opportunities that have come your way. And I know, Almar, again, you know, that sort of event management, you know, if there's been events that I haven't unfortunately been able to attend, you've been there, you've been able to take control, and again, benefits you because you're exactly where you need to be. You're on campus, you're round the corner from your lecture room, but you're making that additional money whilst obviously gaining new skills.
Of course, yeah. And as well, what I found during my studies was just maximizing your time as well, just making sure you're going to be on campus anyways, you know, so why not get paid for it as well? And again, like we were saying, who doesn't want to get paid while they're in college? Everybody knows what it was like to be in college.
That's the dream. That's what everyone wants.
Everybody knows what it was like to be in college, and just kind of looking at maybe some things and being like, oh, can I afford that? Or, oh, can I get this? I'm going to be on campus anyways. I'm going to be spreading my brand awareness at the same time, and why not get paid for it as well?
And if campus brand manager, you know, isn't available to you, you haven't maybe done a placement with an organization that offers that, or, you know, you just maybe are in an area that just doesn't offer it, that's okay, because again, there's loads more tips that we have coming your way. So another one that we look at is becoming a tutor. And probably this one isn't in the forefront of many people's mind. It's not something that they think of, how can I make that additional money? I'll become a tutor. You know, it's not necessarily that first thing that comes into somebody's mind when they're really looking at all their different options of sort of saving here, you know, gaining there. But it's a massive opportunity. And with being a tutor, you know, there is so many benefits. First of all, it can be online or in person. And you've got to remember, you've gone to university and you've gone through these classes. So whether you are tutoring somebody that is in your university, or maybe you're even tutoring, you know, school children on a topic, you know, if you're doing an English literature degree and you're helping people out with their English studies, whether you are, you know, a keen mathematician, there's loads of skills that you have that actually you can help somebody else with. And Ola, this is probably something that we don't hear about as much, but yet is such an opportunity for people.
Yeah, you're completely right. And it's so funny that we're talking about this today because I'm going down the route of studying to become a qualified financial advisor. And I literally I passed one of my exams the other day and someone was like, Ola, would you be interested in tutoring me? Now, obviously, sadly, I don't have the capacity, but like you said, it's something that never comes to the forefront of some people's minds. But that being said, I've got friends that whilst at university, they became a tutor. So one of my friends was studying Spanish, so she became a Spanish tutor, and all those kind of things. It's just about being creative of how you can make extra like streams of income. Like we said, you know, lots of people want to make extra cash, so we need to become more creative with it. And I think this couldn't be more creative, to be honest. So yeah,
absolutely. And I guess as well, it's being really aware of your skills and what you can bring. You know, I think some people think, oh well, I've just studied that, but I'm not an expert in it. But actually, when you sit down and you look at somebody who's maybe a couple of years below you going through the same thing, you actually are an expert because you've been through it all and you've learned how to do it. And you know, it's just fantastic that you can share your knowledge back to those who are interested in it. This can be done obviously through university or through a third party. So, you know, it could be a first year student in university. You reach out to the university, see if they have, you know, any packages for tutoring, and they may have, especially in like the likes of the careers office or one of the admin offices, you might be able to say, like, you know, I am available if somebody needs extra help. I'm more than happy to, you know, spend my time and help those. And again, it's great for skills building. So it's great for that CV piece. You know, you've been able to help somebody else go through what you've already gone through, what you've learned. So to put that on your CV to say, do you know what, in my spare time, I really was able to help 3, 4, 5, you know, it depends obviously on what free time you have. But the main thing is it's flexible. With this way, it's so flexible for a student. You know, if you have classes that run to 3 o'clock, then why not do an online session 4 to 5? If you can spare a Saturday morning, then spare it. And I think, you know, when we're looking at these ways to make money, it's all about how does it work for you and how does it work for your schedule? Because the last thing you want is to take away from what you're focusing on, which is ultimately you getting your degree. And I think, Ola, you would agree with that. Like, it's really important that you don't lose focus on what you're actually doing at university just to get this additional money in.
I agree. I think it's really important that life is all about balance, right? So it is about being able to study and actually get the degree, because the degrees aren't cheap anymore. So you actually want to make sure you're getting your money's worth because you are paying to go to uni. But also at the same time, if you are financially struggling, then it is about having that healthy balance, adjusting your spending habits, as well as looking for cash, and then also find the creative ways of increasing your income. But like you said, it's so flexible. There might be days where you want to earn extra cash. There might be days where you just want to chill and study. It's absolutely fine. So it's about finding that healthy work-life balance when at university.
Yeah, and I think if you start, you know, something like tutoring at university, it's actually something that you can continue on doing even when you go into a workplace. You know, I have friends who work full time but actually tutor in the evenings. And again, you know, if you start that at university level, all you're doing is building on sort of, you know, the people that you tutor. You're building your client base, I guess. And you know, there's so many options that go from that, especially starting at the university level. And then we're going to go on to the one which probably everyone, you know, that's the first thing you go to. How do I make extra money when I'm at university? I will work part-time. And you probably find most students will have some form of part-time job, even if it's maybe a Saturday job when they're not at university, or an evening job. But, you know, it's really important, again, that you have that right balance. You don't want to take too many hours on. You don't want to put that pressure on yourself. But, you know, just look at your schedule and when can you actually fit in that part-time work. So for me, when I was at university, I worked part-time. I lived away from home, but not too far away from home that I came home every weekend. So I was able to work every Saturday. So I actually condensed my hours into one day, one shift, and I used to do a 10-hour shift on a Saturday. And that allowed me to enjoy my week, enjoy university life, but I also knew that I was having money coming in at the end of the month. And I think, again, you know, working is really good for the mind, because sometimes you actually need to do something different than just your studies, because you can get so caught up into, you know, your exams, your essays. So sometimes it's really good just to go and have that social aspect, even at work. You know, work is work, but you'll always find friends or people that you get on with. So kind of, how do you go about finding a part-time job? So what if you have never had a part-time job, or you don't know where to start? Online is obviously the obvious one. You know, look at what's right for you. You know, at the weekends, do you stay in your accommodation where you study? Do you travel home? And again, look at what's best for you. And there's so many websites now where, you know, you can search for jobs, and any style of job too. And I think that's really important. Or like it's you know, whatever you feel confident in doing as your part-time job. It doesn't even necessarily have to tie in with your studies.
100%. Like I said, it's all about thinking outside the box. Also, what is your skill set? So when I first and second year, before then, I actually trained to be a lifeguard. Fun fact, not many people know about me. So I was a lifeguard during my second year of university. So again, it's not something I ever thought of becoming, but when I did have the skill set to become a lifeguard, obviously you have to think about the pool of people that are probably qualified to become one is quite small. So again, is there any way you can maybe upskill yourself before you go to university? Or if you're at university, is there anything you can do as additional that you can maybe use to your advantage when looking for those jobs? So yeah, again, thinking outside the box. So yeah, that's something I definitely did when I was at university.
Yeah, perfect. And hours, what we've just sort of touched on, you know, make sure the hours are correct for you. So, you know, you may see a job that you think, oh my goodness, I'd absolutely love to do that, but they're asking for maybe 3 shifts a week. So just double check, you know, is that going to work for you? And Almar, you have worked part-time. So not only have you been a campus brand manager for us, but you've also worked part-time throughout sort of your final year of studies. And it's making sure that the organization is flexible for you, so it's not taken away from what you're doing at university.
What I found obviously best with enterprise during my studies was communication. It was just such a key factor to just accommodate to what I needed, but also where it could help the employer at the same time. Obviously, just communicating, just talking. What hours can I do? What hours can I not do? Unfortunately, I can't come in at this time. I can do this day, this day, this day. And then it was just like it was a mutual agreement that we had, and then it made everything a smooth process. And I think that's kind of the hardest part for everybody, to have that talk with their employer. And obviously not just for ourselves, but with everybody. Nobody wants to start in a job and be like, oh, I don't know if my employer will let me have this day off because I need to do something for my course. Just having that conversation and being like, I can't, unfortunately, or I can this day, and it just makes everything very, very good. And it made it well for me.
Yeah, I think that's completely right. It's always been that open and honest piece, you know, really sort of putting your cards on the table. Is this is what I can do, and I really do want to work for you, and I want to get more experience. But at the same point in time, I'm also in the middle of getting a degree, which is extremely important. And you know, I've spent a lot of money to go to university, so just making sure that you do get that balance from your employer. As I say, link it to your studies. So this is one of the ones that, you know, if you want to link it to your studies, absolutely. Or you may just want to do a job where you know you're going to get money in, and maybe so you don't actually have to think about your studies. So that's a very much on an individual basis. My part-time job had nothing to do with what I was studying. I worked in Tesco for facts, so you know I was on the checkouts, but it gave me a lot of skills that, you know, I probably didn't even think at the time that I gained skills from. You know, I had those customer service skills and sort of the time management and different pieces, but you know, I didn't choose that because it related to what I was studying. I just chose it because, again, it worked for me. You know, I was able to reduce those hours. I was able to do one shift rather than multiple shifts during the week because I wasn't actually in the location where I worked. And it's really, you know, it's a personal thing as to what you would choose to do. And then obviously your opportunities that come from that. So again, it does depend on what organization you work with. But if those opportunities are there, then absolutely grab them. And I know with obviously enterprise, we have opportunities for everyone, and we will always try and be as flexible as we can with our students and those that are still in college. And Ola, you obviously were part-time with us, you were campus brand manager, so you know that worked for you and your setup.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's like Alma said, it comes down to communication. So one of the managers I used to work very closely with during my final year, she was amazing. And it will literally be a case of, right, I've managed to secure you like a talk here, but I actually can't attend this evening. Is that going to be an issue? Absolutely not. And things like that. So I think, again, it just comes down to communication. And I think, Zara, what you said, opportunity after placement, I think that's the biggest thing here. I think a lot of us, rightly so, do focus a lot on our studies, but sadly we do also need to find that job after university as well. And obviously having those part-time jobs, I think a lot of us sometimes think, oh, I was just a lifeguard, or I only serve coffees, and they really undersell what skills that actually might bring to a job after university. So really don't undersell yourself when you're looking at the jobs you're applying for, whether that's tutoring, whether that's being a campus brand manager. So many employers look for those extracurricular activities now, especially more so now that the job market's quite saturated. So anything you can do to boost your CV, honestly, take advantage of, because I know we do get busy at university, but you have a lot more free time then than you do in the world of work. I can promise you that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. At the time, you're the busiest you've ever been, but when you go into that graduate job, then you realize actually what busyness means,
Yeah.
and how to manage your time. So no, I totally agree with what you've said there, and take any opportunity that comes your way. You know, if you have said that you're only going to work one shift a week, but an opportunity comes up, and you know, to get a few extra shifts, and you're free, take them. If you're not free, that's okay. But you know, if those opportunities are coming your way, take it as much as you can, because actually before you know it, you will be graduated and you will be looking for that graduate job, and those opportunities that you've taken along the way and those couple of years that you've been studying, you just don't know where they're going to lead to. And I think that's, you know, what you said at the beginning in regards to networking piece when you were a brand ambassador. It's the same thing in your part-time job. So that is actually the end of our webinar. As always, please do check out our social media platforms. We have loads more hints and tips on there in regards to your graduate job, how you can stand out from the crowd. There's loads of other things and materials that you can take. Ola, I just want to go back to you, and if you have any final sort of hints and tips, you are the expert here. So is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to share?
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, we're very fortunate if we do come across the opportunities to become a campus brand ambassador or to get those part-time roles, but there isn't an opportunity to become a campus brand manager where you are at the moment, or you're struggling to find that part-time job. Also look at what you can offer outside as also the tutoring. So, you know, you've got, if you may be quite good at social media, or if you're maybe quite creative in terms of, I don't know, branding and things like that, look at seeing if you can maybe sell those skills online. So there's obviously freelance work websites such as like Upwork or Fiverr that allow you to actually sell your skills online now as well. So again, like I said, there's loads of, like you mentioned as well, Zara, there's so many people now that are looking for social media managers, or they need a quick VA or PA to help them do some admin bits. So definitely look at selling your work and your skills on there. Obviously we talked about the online surveys on your focus group, so take advantage of that. I mentioned like your Prolific, YouGov, Saros, and then also we touched on as well, you know, utilizing being like members and loyalty schemes, so like your Tesco Club card, that's really important, but also utilizing websites like cashback websites. So if you aren't using websites such as your Top Cashback or Quidco, that can be a great way of earning cash for free for shopping as you normally would as well. So I think that's really important, and look at ways of utilizing that. And I think it comes back as well when you're at university, having that healthy balance with, you know, as well as looking for ways to kind of make cash, try and budget your finances effectively. So if maybe managing your finances is something you struggle with whilst you're studying, look at maybe downloading apps like budgeting apps or saving apps that kind of help you stay on track as well, because obviously managing your finances at university can be quite daunting sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think those would be like my final words of kind of advice to kind of get people through university.
Yeah, and I think as well, thank you for that. I think as well, you know, every university will have somebody there on campus that can also advise you. So use that service. You know, that service is there to be used. So don't be afraid to go and knock on the door and to say, I need a wee bit of help. I'm not sure, you know, where I'm going wrong. Am I spending too much on this? Am I not? You know, so use the services that also university have for you. But you know, all those websites and the apps, everything that we have at the minute is there to help. It's ultimately for you to, you know, not spend as much, maybe, you know, get some extra cash in by selling extra things, or, you know, working part-time. So it's getting that balance right, so therefore you can enjoy your university time, and be confident in your finances, because we know that, you know, if you're struggling with your finances, it has an effect on your mood. It has an effect on maybe what you would choose to do. You maybe don't socialize as much, and that's not what university is about. University is about going and having the best time and getting every experience that you can give. So therefore, you know, if you need that extra help, it's absolutely not a problem. So we're just going to go and to some questions. So the first one we actually have is in regards to website. So please, can you state the website for any sort of reward for review? So do you want to go back over, Ola, any of the websites there that you'd previously mentioned?
In terms of like your online surveys, I recommend Prolific, YouGov, Luna. Like I said, they're completely free to sign up to. If you want to take part in online focus groups, then you've got your Saros, Angelfish, user testing. Granted, you won't always be accepted for every single survey or online focus group that comes up, but always just keep your eye on, turn on your alerts as well, so you're notified as to when surveys come up that you might be eligible for, etc., etc. There's also a website called QME, I think that's how you spell it, say it, which is QMEE, which again pays you to not only just search the internet, but also offers free online surveys as well, reviews, etc., etc. So yeah, those are ones that are tried and tested by myself, and I highly recommend.
Fabulous. And as always, you know, please feel free to connect with us on our social medias, our LinkedIn, and we'd be more than happy to answer any other questions. But I just want to say a massive thank you for both of you joining me today. I really appreciate your hints and tips and your expertise. So thank you very much. And I will see you all soon. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.